We're live. Oh, we've got a classic Beatles track for Tom today. I hope I can do it good. What would you think if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with a little help from my friends. I get high with a little help from my friends. Gonna try with a little help from my friends, with a little help from my friends. I'm gonna end it there because the show's about you, Tom, not about the music. How the devil are you?
I'm really good, Ashley. Thank you for the serenade. I appreciate that no end.
Awesome. So my very first question is, why did you choose that song?
Honestly, it's just because I like it. And the sentiment of community runs through everything that I do as well. So I thought it was kind of pertinent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I you know, when someone turns around and says, "Oh, I've chosen this song," it's like I could probably guess why we've done that. So yeah, and the thing is, we've met on LinkedIn,
Yep.
and that is, and we do get by with the help from all of our friends. So absolutely beautiful start to the show. So thank you for that. Tom Jepson, tell us a little bit about yourself. What you are, who you are, what you do.
Who I am. I am an all things kind of guy. I do many things, but my main thing that I do is that I coach self-employed creative people. So designers, content makers, marketers, developers, actors, chefs, whoever else you want to be. Anyone who is working for themselves, putting everything of themselves into the business and really trying to carve their own path through the world. And I want to see them all do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess as a creative, it's you know, I'm a musician, but it's sort of like, how do I monetize that? How do I tell people about me? How do I sell myself? And I guess that's what you get into, isn't it?
Yeah, we go all over the map. Or my background is in design, so I've been there, I've done it. I know how personally people can take the work that they do. And quite how difficult it can be to really show up in a way which not only represents what you do, but who you are, and feel accepted when you do that. So we go all over the place with these conversations.
Yeah, and I guess it's all about building that brand, isn't it? It's not about the design; it's about the designer. Is that how that works?
That's that's a very interesting take, and it is. I mean, people say that the designer should be invisible behind their work, but I think where we are in 2023, it is all about the person delivering that service, and their fingerprint on it, I guess.
Yeah,
because everyone's got the unique way to do the thing they do.
Yeah, we all know that people buy from people who they know, like, and trust, and so it's really understanding that this person does this and this person does that. We've got Simon Wells saying hello. Afternoon, Simon. Thanks for joining us today. If you've got any questions about coaching or whatever Tom does, then give us a shout. I'm going to delve deeper into that, Tom. But first of all, I want to find out a little bit about what you're doing on LinkedIn. So first of all, why do you like LinkedIn?
Why do I like LinkedIn? I'm not a big social media person. I don't have any other platforms other than LinkedIn. And it has proven to be the most healthy way for me to meet like-minded people. Especially given the last 3 years that we've all been through. The people I've met, the communities I've joined, the friends I've made have all been through LinkedIn.
Friends I've made. And that's the thing, isn't it? I've made loads of friends on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And it's an odd one because people will say, "Oh, we're LinkedIn friends." But I mean, these are genuine person-to-person connections and people I will gladly sit and have a coffee with, a phone call with, and just say, "Yeah, we are friends."
Yeah, absolutely. Ashley saying definitely on board with this and need to connect with Tom. So we'll make that happen. And Lego set. Can I see a Lego set?
Yeah. I've got a couple. There's the Office from the US office, and then there's Doctor Strange's Sanctorum,
and a guitar.
Yes, indeed. One of a few.
Right. Okay. So you're a musician as well.
Indeed. Indeed.
Wow. You should have played the song today, sir.
Man, I can't sing to save my life.
Doesn't stop me.
You did a great job. You did a
Bless
great
you.
job.
Bless you. I wasn't begging for a thing, but this is the thing, right? I just love music, whether I do it any good or not. I do it for me, and I think that's the thing, and you must get that as well. And I guess when you're talking to your clients, they're sort of like, they're. Do you have any musicians on your books?
I have people who play,
okay,
but it's not their thing. I did have a very nice conversation with somebody for the podcast that I do, humble brag. And one of her threads is songwriting. So I get to speak to people who do a lot of different things.
Perfect. Tell us about your podcast then. Come on.
Well, seeing as we're going to go there, I have a newsletter and a podcast called Tiny Rebellions, and it's all about finding the thing that you do and amplifying it. The podcast I created as a platform to amplify new voices in the creative industries, because obviously, we hear from people who've been there, they've done it, they've experienced stuff. I was bored of that. I am bored of that. And I want to open the door to people who have been doing it for less time, whose experience and voice is equally as valid. So I created the podcast because I wanted to talk to some people who could bring new stories to the table.
And that's the beauty of the podcast genre, isn't it? You can just do whatever you want. If you're into, I don't know, whatever it may be, there's a podcast out there for you. So So how long have you been podcasting, Tom?
This one is only had its 3rd edition released today.
Wow.
But I've had a couple of shows prior to this as well. So it's not my first rodeo on the podcast front. And I just find it's a great format to play with ideas.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Are you putting your podcast on YouTube?
It's coming.
It's coming.
Coming.
That's another thing that I found out this week. You can actually, there is a podcast tab on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not because at the moment we are streaming live.
Yes.
To LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Most people are watching live on LinkedIn, but it also streams there. But when the show's over, I turn it into a podcast and I go on to Spotify for podcasters.
Yep.
And it now pushes to YouTube. So I've now got 90 odd episodes on YouTube. I put them up there at the weekend. I haven't told anybody, and I've had listens.
Amazing.
Isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible?
It's funny how things just reach people, isn't it?
And we've got James West. It's the first time here. Thank you, James. I think it's fun. But you're here because you're a Tom Jepson fan. So thanks you for bringing your fans along, Tom. This is good. Anyway, we were delving into LinkedIn. So yes. You said you don't use any other social media because?
I honestly found the mental overhead that it created for me was too much when I'm trying to manage platforms and curate messages across different things. So it did nothing for me personally, and honestly, nothing for me professionally either. LinkedIn has been the only place that I've actually found that I can build not only community type connections, but also do the all important thing, which is advertise and bring in some biz.
Yeah. So a lot of people are using Facebook ads. They're using Instagram Reels. That's not worked for you. Have you tried it?
Facebook ads, no. It's on my list of things, but because I have such finite time to do what I do, given the dynamics I have around life, it's just one of those time things. I've heard good things though. Reels, video, all the things. I love it, but time.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And as entrepreneurs, business owners, self-employed people, we're busy juggling all the time, aren't we? And it's sort of like, what is the most important thing? That's the most important thing, which you can't read. I can just about read it. I haven't done any of it today, and it's really important. But this afternoon, I've got some free time, so I'm going to plow through that list this afternoon. And you've just got like, right, someone wants to meet with me this afternoon. I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I'm going to be doing that, and you've got to prioritize all the time. And if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, if it's LinkedIn, which one can we do? Which one can't we do? And so they're very important. Do you create content on LinkedIn, Tom?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. Very much. I post almost daily. And 90% of it is pre-planned as well. So I'm kind of a couple of weeks ahead of the game because I want to share very particular things and also be able to weave in, launches, announcements and stuff into that too. I've done various articling on there as well, which I want to get back into. Actually, my bucket of to write content is getting way too big. So yeah, and I think it's just a great platform to experiment. If you can cast aside the Saruman's glare from the algorithm and just go, you know what, I'm just going to put something out and hope that it does its thing.
Yeah, but again, if you're writing for a specific person in mind and they see it, then that's absolutely fine. So here's a thing. Today, my post was a recipe for homemade mincemeat. So I've put that out there today because I used to be a chef. I don't know if you know that.
You mentioned it, yeah.
And making mincemeat, it sort of like seems like, oh my goodness, you're a superstar. It's so easy. And so that's what I've put up today is just an easy recipe so people can make their own mincemeat. If you're listening to this on the podcast, in the show notes, I'll send you that recipe. So there you go. And so you say you talked about getting business on LinkedIn. Have you physically got business from what you're doing on LinkedIn, Tom?
Yes, I have. Do I have a formula for it? No. I said this to somebody earlier today. When the right message, as you've just alluded to, the right message lands with the right person at the right time, you're golden.
Yeah.
And I think just by being consistent in the things that I share, it eventually lands with people. Like, you have to trust that at some point someone is going to look at it. So yeah, I've had a couple of fabulous clients from the stuff that I've done on LinkedIn. And I couldn't be more grateful.
And that's the thing. You said the word consistent. And I think that's the thing that not so many people have, is it? They don't have that consistency. They're like, oh, I'm going to go and do a bit on LinkedIn, and then they're going to do a bit on Instagram and Facebook and anything else that's out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not working. Well, no, of course it's not working because you're just sporadic. And if you go in, you say you do it most days. You can get by 2 or 3 times a week, and that if you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday every single week without fail, then people are seeing your stuff. Do you speak to people and they go, "Oh, Tom, I love what you write on LinkedIn"? Do you get that?
Every now and again, yeah. I actually had the other week. I went to a gig, and somebody whom I have met on LinkedIn was there and came over and said, "Oh yeah, we're connected on LinkedIn." So the presence does happen. But yeah, I that is a kind of a thing. People go, "Oh, I love what you write about."
And how many times do they comment on your posts?
A handful.
I have people commenting, turn around to me in real life and say, "Oh yeah," and they know everything about me, but they've never commented.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing, isn't it?
The lurkers.
Yeah,
the lurkers. They are there. They are there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's dig into your coaching. How did you get into it, Tom? Because you haven't always been a coach, have you?
I have not. No. So my background is in design and various other things prior to being a professional designer. One thing that has always been a constant is the support of others through that. So team members, bringing new people into a team when I used to work in teams, leading design functions, mentoring junior designers, whatever. It's always been a kind of a constant thread through what I'm doing. And I didn't really know that it was mentorship, that it was coaching until I had it explained to me what that was.
Yeah.
And I make a very definite distinction between mentorship and coaching, because I am not mentor labeled as coach. I am a coach, and it's a very different function. But I trained in coaching during the pandemic because they didn't have a lot of work to do, and I still wanted to maintain the faculties here. So I trained. I learned how to do this properly. I learned the mechanics of it, and taking 10 plus years of leadership and helping others come up through the industry, I've kind of formed it into the primary string of my bow. And just so happens is I love it as a thing dearly. Like, I'd like to say it was altruistic, but it's not, because it makes me feel really, really good when someone's light bulb comes on.
Yeah.
It just it's great.
I also a coach. I think it's a privilege to be able to coach somebody and to work with them and help them find those light bulb moments. So yeah, I can see where your passion's coming from.
Absolutely. It's occasionally get a few sort of awkward shuffles in sessions, but the first thing I'll say to anybody when we have a session together is, thank you for entrusting me in this role for you today. Because someone has gone, actually, I believe this guy can help me do whatever it is that I want to do. And in that's very empowering for me as an individual, to have someone's trust to show up for them like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Okay. Someone's listening right now this minute, and they're thinking, mentor, coach, aren't they the same thing? Go on, in your own words, Tom, tell us, what's the difference between a mentor and a coach?
Great question. Right. For me as a mentor, because I work with other designers in the user experience field to help them get better in that discipline using my disciplines as a UX designer. Okay. I share my skills to help them grow. My experience helps them grow. Mentor. As a coach, I am not here to bring my agenda to you. Okay. I am not here to tell you what to do. I am here to partner with you in a conversation, to help you move through that conversation. I'm here to partner with you to help you think about the things that you want to think about and focus on through helpful questions, pointy questions sometimes. I'm here to challenge you, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. If somebody wants my opinion on something, they are welcome to ask for it. And again, I will ask for permission to share that. But that's not the primary agenda of the conversation. I'm here to facilitate someone else's thinking in a very different way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great explanation. That's a really great explanation. Okay, so we're both parents.
Yes.
Do you coach your kids? The reason I ask that is my children, they're a little bit older than yours, but they'll turn around to me and they'll say, "Oh, Dad, what do you do?" And I'll answer it, but with questions. And Dad, just be Dad. I don't want you to coach me. So I just wondered if that, because it must be a hazard of the job.
Oh, for real. It is taking the hat off, especially on a coaching day, is quite hard. Sometimes I do it on purpose because, again, I don't like my kids are kind of younger than yours, but I don't want to tell them what to do. I want to allow them to experience life as it happens. But when they need equipping with some skills, yeah, absolutely, we'll get into it. But I know I do need to remember that you're not always on. My wife will tell me, she's just like, don't sit like that in the chair, because I know what that means. I know how you're thinking about this right now. So yeah, other people do pick up on it pretty quickly.
It's funny, isn't it? It's really, really funny.
Switch.
Yeah. Have you got any great stories to share with us? Obviously, leave the names and the identities secret, but where somebody came along, because the thing I struggle with, Tom, is you and I both know that working with a coach is an amazing thing. Yeah, and I guess you work with coaches to help you, because I definitely do. But we know that working with a coach is a great thing. But have you got any stories where you could turn around and go, well, actually, I was working with so and so, and they were here, and they wanted to be there, and da 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 da. Have you got a story that you could share with us today?
Let me cast my mind back a few months. I was working with somebody, and one of the common threads that people bring to the table is often around focus and clarity. Two quite different concepts, but it's, I don't know which thing to do, or I don't know how to do the thing that I have picked. Okay, so two sort of broad concepts within there. And I was working with somebody, and they were telling me about the dialogue they create for themselves, which prevents them from focusing. They hear all the different ideas they have. And I think anyone who is a creative, used in the broad sense of the word, will know the new ideas syndrome. Pop, 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 pop. You shut your eyes for 5 minutes. Oh, idea. So I was working with this person, and we unpacked this voice and what it was telling them to do around must have an idea, must act on the idea, must have an idea, must act on the idea. And we started to look at not only ways to find the thing that makes sense to look at right now, but also how to talk to that voice and go, you know what? I don't want to hear from you right now. Just back in your box for a little while, which is the hardest thing to do when it's the voice that's inside your head. So we had these conversations. It was a couple of sessions we did together, and yeah, we role played a little bit, because that's a tool that I like to use with people. Is to, I can be you and you can be the thing, or you be you and we'll act something out to get through and find a strategy and a tactic to embrace whatever we're working on. And I checked in with them a few weeks ago, and I always ask the question now, how's that little voice doing? What are you working on at the moment? And the response that came back was, the voice is resoundingly quiet, and I'm moving forward with this, and this, but one thing at a time. So it takes just a little bit of unpacking with another person, and not being afraid to have that conversation around something that other people might think is weird, or awkward, or makes you look unprofessional. Because I think this is a fear that a lot of people have, is that when they table something like, in my arena, I haven't got a damn clue what I'm supposed to be doing, you fear that it makes you look unprofessional, when in fact it just means you're a human being with loads of ideas and the desire to do something better for yourself and other people. So results can be found if you're willing to step into it.
Yeah. And sometimes we've got to have those awkward conversations. We've got to have those silent moments. It evolves as well, doesn't it? I love what I do. I love what I do. Yeah. So who would be your ideal client? So if someone's listening now, who would be your ideal client?
Great question. My ideal client is self-employed. They might describe themselves as freelance, or a contractor, as a founder, if you wish, but they're self-employed. They work for themselves. They don't have another boss. They are working in a creative space. So they might be a designer, a marketer, content writer, social media person, a web developer, a musician, a chef. Chef is a very creative pursuit. And they, in themselves, feel that they are able to do what they do, but right now they're not doing it. They've compromised on some stuff, and they've got a few little things going on in the business that they're not quite happy about, and they're not quite sure how to let them go. Generally, I work with people who've been going for a year or more, just because of the nature of it is business, and someone does need to be able to afford to work with me. I try to keep it affordable, but it's transactional in that way. And they're just ready to show up. However they are in that moment. If they're having a great day, amazing. If they're not having a great day, fine. I'm still here for you. But they're ready to kick over the proverbial can of worms and just see what's inside.
Oh, perfect. Love that. We've run out of time already. I've got one last question for you, but before I do that, I just want to go in to next week. Let everybody know that I've got Gary Jones on next week. He's from Grow Radio. He's a podcaster, trainer, and producer. So I'll really be having to up my game next week. Not that I wasn't doing a good job this week. Hey, I hope you've been comfortable here today. How can people get hold of you, Tom?
People can get hold of me on LinkedIn. I have a blue background and I have no hair, so you will be able to find me. They can also email me, which is hello@tomjepsoncreative.com. Link in the show notes, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Those two ways, best ways. And the first step is always the most difficult, which is just sending an email or just getting a message. After that, everything's kind of easy.
I like that. That's a really nice way. Right, my final question then, sir. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
Knowing my 16-year-old self, I definitely wouldn't want to be that guy again. But I would tell him that it doesn't really matter what other people think, as long as you know what you think. Because with that, you've got something to work with.
I love that. That was a great bit of advice. Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to everybody for all your lovely comments and sticking around. And we will be back next week, like I say, with Gary. So thank you very much, Tom. Cheerio. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy.